go. So, right now it's like a few months after Deku was told that he was quirkless. So, Deku already lost his friendship with Katsuki and all of his other former friends, and his father isn't going to be away. So his dad is still in his life, but his dad doesn't really like him. He usually screams at him and stuff. So after Deku gets a beating, he comes back home. And at home, his mom asks him who's hurting him. And Deku says that it's fine. I just fell during the park. She says that she doesn't believe him, but Deku won't tell her who is his tormentor. Deku's father's just like, Inko, just leave the boy alone. He's useless anyways. It's good that someone's tormenting him. We don't have to get rid of him now. Someone else will do it for us. And Inko's like, don't speak of our son like that. Are you sure he's my son? Because I wouldn't give my seed would not create such a weak and useless being. He's a freak, Inko. I mean, he doesn't have a quirk. And Inko's like, the people before us who had quirks didn't have, before the quirk era didn't have quirks, Quirks weren't always here. So, in fact, we are technically the freaks. And Deku is a normal person. And Hazashi's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who told you that you're fucking grandpappy? Was he quirkless? Is this the reason why your son is quirkless? I'm pretty sure I'm not the father. We can go through all the DNA tests anyways. Inko's mad at this and she smacks Sasagi. And Izuku's watching this go down. Izuku's in the background just screaming, Mom, no, Dad, stop arguing. There's no reason to argue. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. But they're not even listening to him. It's like he's not even there. Hasashi smacks her. She falls to the ground. And he activates his quirk, preparing to shoot a flame at her. But he misses and he hits a curtain. And he's like, oh shit. And he starts stomping the fire out. He goes to get the extinguisher and Inko's like, no, let it burn. Just like the love that you had for me and Izuku. Hasashi gets mad at this and smacks her in the head with the fire extinguisher, which kills Inko. She's just dead. Sad, but just happens sometimes. Deku just sees blood coming from his mom's head, and he's like, yo, Mom, wake up, Mom. Hasashi just puts out the fire, and he's like, useless. Hey, useless. Come here and come and pick this, raggedy old curtain up. And Izuku's like, I'll come. Just tell me what happened to Mom. Oh, that bitch. She's dead. Of course. Deku gets mad at this and he transforms into a Titan. Yes. He transforms into the Attack Titan. That's the only thing that he can transform into. So yeah. He transforms into the Attack Titan and his father dies in the wreckage of the apartment collapsing. Deku steps out, steam just coming off of him. Deku starts walking, and all you see is a path of destruction and heat radiating off of him. Deku, he he starts going on a rampage. He's not really in control of himself. He destroys many buildings so much, and it's just constant. He destroys like 12. He destroys over 100 buildings. He nearly destroys an entire prefecture. Heroes come by and he kills them too, out of his rage. Everybody's just is running from him. He's killing everybody, destroying everything. While this is happening, Bakugo is with his parents and they hear a loud screech. Bakugo's mom is like, "What is that?" And Marasu, Bakugo's father is just like, "It's probably some villain." So they don't really pay much attention to it until it's too late. A hole just goes through the apartment or their house that they live in, and all the Bakugos just look at it. Bakugo's mom and his father get in front of Katsuki and tell him to run. Bakugo says, No. If I'm running, you guys are coming with me. And if we're fighting together. But Bakugo's parents say no. They tell him to go, or he's grounded for life. And Bakugo's just like, it's fine. I can be grounded. So they tell him to go now, or something really bad will happen to him. Bakugo is just thinking, I don't know what will happen, but he just starts running, okay? He starts running away as fast as possible. He goes into the woods where he usually plays with his friends. So, yeah, Deku kills his parents. But that's not the only people he kills. He kills over 1,000 people that night. It's a pretty crazy night. All Might. And the thing is that heroes try to defeat him. They get damage on him, but he just heals. So, yeah. Sorry if you guys hear noise in the background. Family is being too loud. So, Deku just goes around destroying things, and the heroes try to stop him. They could do damage on him. They really get a lot of damage on him, but he keeps healing. And they're not fast enough to destroy him or knock him out or whatever they can before he heals. And All Might and Endeavor are called in. Endeavor just torches him, trying to see if he burns his cells enough that they will just stop growing. He will just stop healing. But sadly, that doesn't work. It just his burning just doesn't work. He just keeps getting attacked, and Deku just keeps getting back up. All Might is called in, and he goes full power, like the amount of strength he would use against not that much strength. 50% of his power. No, 75% of his power he would use to go against Midoriya. No, not 75. That's too much. 40, yeah, 40. 40 sounds right. He uses 40% of his power to try to defeat Deku. And at some point, they use this tactic to distract Deku with Endeavor's flame, and Deku tries to kill Endeavor, but All Might comes from behind and hits him. All Might just misses and hits him in the neck. All Might thinks that he's dead, but steam just pours out of Deku, and all they see after all the steam has gone is a little boy unconscious and asleep. everybody's just thinking, did this boy really cause all this destruction? So, what's happening is that Deku would be detained. He'd put in a court-canceling suit, so he can't activate his quirk at all. They keep him unconscious and move him to a maximum security training facility so they can train his quirk, so he doesn't cause this mass destruction again. They don't want to put him into a prison because they don't want the villains trying to manipulate his mind, because it seemed obvious that Deku was not doing this out of his free will, because he was moving. He was moving like an angry child. He was having a tantrum, it looked like to them, but in his Titan form. So while they're transporting Deku, people crowd around the transporting vans and stuff and start trying to kill the boy. But the thing is that they don't know that Deku is most likely not gonna die from all their attacks. Oh, my bad. Okay, save them. So, Deku's transferred to the quirk training facility. And this is like a maximum security system. So, because I'm just going to say that there are quirks out there that people just activate, but they don't know how to deactivate it or anything like that, and it causes a rampage. So they created this system to protect them and other people so they can train their quirks, with heroes around the clock watching them and doctors and nurses trying to help them and stuff. So yeah, Deku is honestly just OP like that. Well, not OP. Deku is just being watched. He's asleep for, let's say, a few weeks. He wakes up and he can't even move. He sees a bunch of doctors testing his blood and stuff. He's just freaking out. He tries to say something, but his voice is muffled because they put something over his mouth so he can't speak. And one of the nurses notices that he's awake, and they're like, They tell him what he did, and Deku starts crying because he didn't do it. He doesn't believe him. And they say that his quirk seems to allow him healing and a form, like a ginormous form that radiates steam. They call it a Titan. That's what they're gonna call it. They're gonna call this quirk Titan Shifter. And Deku's just like, Titan Shifter. And they want Deku to activate his quirk. After a few hours, they get prepared, and Deku activates his quirk. He concentrates really hard and activates his quirk, and he doesn't go out on a rampage. And everybody's just like, why isn't he rampaging? Does he not have control? And they just think that he was only going on a rampage due to his tantrum. So he probably just really has full control over it slightly. But after 5 minutes, Deku starts going on a rampage. And then they start realizing that it probably has a time limit. So they're just going to try to increase that time limit to little to none of it, so he can fully control his quirk. So let's do a 10 10-year time skip. Hold on. Time skip to when Deku is 14 years old. So, like a 10-year time skip? Yeah, 10-year time skip. Deku's 14 years old. He's in his room, and he has fully mastered his quirk. And while mastering his quirk, they found out that when he transforms into his Titan, his actual body doesn't transform. He just gains muscle around him in the form of a Titan, and his actual body is in the neck of the Titan. So they're just like, okay, that's nice to know. And they figure out Deku has a hardening ability that he can activate outside of his Titan form and while in Titan form. So that is pretty useful. But you can't eject it. It's a pretty strong whatever they call it. They call it a crystal that he creates. His hardening is just crystals, but those crystals, they're indestructible. They literally can't break it. And when they can, it's only with Deku's crystals. So yeah, Deku's crystals can't not touch his body. So it's either they're always touching his Titan form or they're touching his body. He can crystallize his Titan form while leaving. Well, never mind. He can crystallize other things as well as his body. Yeah, he can eject his crystals, but not like shooting it out. But I think you understand what I'm saying. So Deku's in his room, training physically because he mastered his quirk. He mastered his quirk when he was 12, but he had to stay in because there was nowhere he could go because he knew if he left the facility he would just get attacked, and they didn't want that happening to him. And Deku and people who go to this training facility only have 2 races to become heroes or work in the military. Deku chose the hero route because that's what he always wanted to do since he was a child. So, due to that, the doctors and nurses, his doctor called in UA's principal. The principal brought in All Might, but All Might wasn't a Small Might form. They walk in, they have to go through a lot of security, and they watch Deku from the opposite side of the door. There's like a mirror, a window, but Deku can't see out, but they can see in. So yeah, Deku's just in there with his sandbag, punching it, and his doctor talks to Nezu, saying that he's always wanted to be a hero, and he's one of his favorite patients. He has mastered his quirk when he was 12, and he could go out, but they don't want him getting attacked by others, because he can accidentally go on a rampage. So Nezu's like, And All Might just remembers having to cave in the back of Deku's head, nearly killing him, just obliterating him. All Might has scars from that fight, but they're not as strong as All for One scars. No, they're much weaker. They're just like it's just like Deku's scars from One for All. All Might just shivers as he looks at the kid, remembering all the trouble that they went through to take him out. He can't imagine that happening again. So Deku's just in there. He doesn't know what's happening, but they're talking about him. And Nezu's like, we want to put him through the practical exam, but it will also make sense for him to go through recommendations due to his ability to, due to the chance of him being unstable. And the doctor assures him that he's stable. So they do allow Deku to go to the entrance exam. Oh, let's check up on Bakugo. So yeah, let's check on how Bakugo's doing. Bakugo is traumatized by the event, to say the least. So yeah, he's an orphan now. He wakes up at the orphanage and he prepares for school. He's really buffing this what if because he trains hard to avenge all people who died in that accident. Bakugo washes his face. He still gets nightmares of his parents dying. He goes to his school, or I think, yeah, he won't go to Aldera Junior High. He'll go to a school with let's say yeah, he doesn't go to school of any of class 1A. Yeah. So yeah, Bakugo's honestly mostly alone. Yeah, he's still going to Aldera Junior High, and he doesn't really talk to anybody. Mostly, for what he does in life, he really just trains alone by himself in the forest that he ran to when he was a kid, when he wasn't strong enough to help anybody. And everybody knows about Izuku Midori. They know that he turned into a Titan. They know his reputation. They know everything about him. He's infamous. And Bakugo knows that this is his childhood friend. He remembers that he used to call him Deku, the useless, quirkless loser. But now, Deku has a quirk. He has a quirk that's he can't control, and Bakugo understands that, but he doesn't want to. He knows this, but he doesn't want to understand that it was a mistake because Deku unlocked this quirk, and if he was probably happy, and he was a bit more sane, he could probably control his quirk a little bit longer, and he could transform before anything bad would happen. But he wasn't in the right state of mind when he activated his quirk. So that's what happened. Bakugo understands this, but he still refuses to because Deku killed his parents. Bakugo's struggling in his mind to see. He knows that Deku is the same good kid, and he wouldn't do anything like that on purpose. So there had to be a reason, and Bakugo is just like, but what reason would it make for him to have a tantrum like that, activate his quirk, and kill a bunch of people? Bakugo takes a trip down memory lane on everything that he did with his best friend Deku, and he realizes, and right now he realizes that everything he was saying about Deku was a mistake. Deku isn't a villain. He isn't a bad guy. He was just out of control of himself. Bakugo accepts this, but he wants to hear an apology from Deku himself when he sees him at UA, because Bakugo knows that Deku will go to UA, even if it would kill him. He knows that Deku has the heart of a hero. He knows that Deku would come. So he's just training, just in case Deku doesn't have his quirk fully mastered, just in case anything. He wants to be able to protect people and help people. He wants to be an actual hero, but instead of one that would be like endeavor for power and money and fame. He wanted to be a true hero, and he was going to punish those who weren't, those who were villains. He wanted to be a punisher. So yeah, let's skip to the day of the entrance exam. Deku is wearing Deku is just trying to hide himself. No, let's say he gets there before anybody is allowed in. So the teachers watch him just in case, because they don't want Deku being attacked or anything like that to get him aggravated. So he transforms and goes on another rampage. So, because they don't really trust him. They want to use his power to help people, but they don't trust him after everything he did. So Deku's already in the auditorium when everybody comes in. Nobody notices this. They just think that he just got there first. Deku doesn't mutter or anything like that. He tries to act like everybody else. So Ida doesn't call him out. So he's able to go to the practical exam. And he sees a familiar face. And I'm not gonna say anybody interrupts him. And Deku pulls him apart from the others, and he's like, he makes a finger to tell him, the guy, to come over, and he's like, "Hey, Kachan." And Bakugo's about to scream, but Deku covers his mouth, and he's like, "How have you been doing, Kachan? I hope I didn't kill your parents during my rampage. I'm really sorry if I did. I didn't mean to kill anybody." And he's just apologizing, and Bakugo's just like, "You damn nerd. You killed my parents. I'm over it. They wouldn't want me to cry. They would want me to be brave. But I was wondering why you went on your rampage and stuff." And Deku's just like, "I'll explain after the entrance exam." So Deku doesn't use his Titan part of his quirk. There's no need to save anybody from the 0-pointer because he's not in the same room as Ochako. So Ochako dies. Because Ida wouldn't go to save her. They would all just think that paper was bogus. Because I'm just gonna say that they had to sign a waiver before coming into UA. Because there was a chance that they would die because 0-pointers were made to kill them. So they had to attack them because they wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So yeah, they would just think it's bogus, and Ida would be like, the school wouldn't really kill somebody. They would have a terrible reputation for that. But Ochako dies right in front of them, and they're just like, well, that's that. There's no other. What? Ida is just shocked because he was wrong. He was wrong, and he was wrong, and everybody just like, what? They have an entrance. They finish the entrance exam. Deku tells Bakugo what was wrong with him, and Deku figures out that Bakugo lives in an orphanage, and Deku was given a home, like an apartment, to live in for since he was going to UA. So he invites Bakugo to stay with him. Bakugo is just like, sure, anything to get out of that hell called orphanages. Deku's just like, what's wrong with an orphanage? You wouldn't know. Well, at least you didn't have to go to where I went. They're terrible people there. I mean, like, there was that one good doctor, but, like, they really just wanted to experiment on me. to see the extent of my quirk and stuff like that. They drew my blood so many times. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. So they just talk and laugh. Bakugo helps inform Deku on all the information he would have missed. But Deku's just like, no, I already know about this. Because of that good doctor, he would always give me newspapers and stuff, and I was allowed a TV. I even have a TV at my place. So Bakugo says that he could move in a few weeks. No, in 2 days, because he didn't have a lot of stuff because he's an orphan. I think Bakugo would only have like a gaming system and weights. And yeah, he'd have a portable gaming system and weights to train with. That's all he would really have. When he went into Deku's apartment, he was just like, bruh, this isn't really that big. It's a 2-room apartment. And Deku's just like, I know. It's very lonely. That's the only reason I asked for you to move in. And Bakugo's just like, I expected more. Especially since the government gave you this place. Or if they thought that you had been unsatisfied. And Deku's just like, they know I'm too weak for that. And Gachan just laughs. So, I'm gonna just say that Bakugo goes back to the orphanage and every night, every day, so they think that he's still there, but at night he'd sneak out. And they wouldn't really care. They know this, they wouldn't really care. When he got mail from UA, he just took it and went to Deku's place. He made it obvious that he wasn't staying there anymore. So they stopped caring about him. They stopped leaving him food in the morning and stuff. So Bakugo is just full-time living at Deku's place. And Deku would play Bakugo in video games. Deku would kind of show Bakugo his type. He wouldn't show Bakugo's Titan form because everybody would know about it. And nobody wants that. So Deku and Bakugo both get their acceptance letters. And yeah, they both go to UA and they start their first day. So if you want to find out what happens next, come back for part 2 later.